Good morning. This is Renee Manford with What's Your Passion. I had the pleasure of having Henry Bolden III on my podcast this morning and just having a great conversation. We've been knowing each other for quite some time over the last, I think, Henry, about a year or 2 years?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Yeah.
And we met through a good friend of ours, Howard Emard.
Yeah.
And so Henry is a well-known pastor, and it's a tremendous amount of different books that he's written through the years. And I just wanted to really get Henry on with me today to really kind of just talk about some different things that he's doing with his ministry across the world. I'm seeing that you speak in front of many churches, and just some of the sermons that I've heard. I just really have a connection to you. I think over the last year, I've been watching a little bit here and there, and I just wanted to have the opportunity where you and I can just get together and just see where you are right now in your life.
Yeah. Well, I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today. And I, too, have been seeing all the marvelous things you're doing. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited to be a part of it. Seeing your passion for other people's passion is exhilarating. And so I'm honored to be here with you today.
I do appreciate it. I know you and I spoke real brief a couple of weeks ago about eventually we might be able to put together some type of passionate night or some sort. And I'm talking to several people about that vision. And I feel like it's just the times right now that we're all going through. And I'm sure you're seeing it from a pastor perspective.
Yeah.
Your congregation and people that come to you on a daily basis. And I'm sure you're overwhelmed with things, right? And so it's very. I'm just kind of interested in just knowing you started. What I'm seeing is 29 years in being in ministry. You started at 14 years old, based off my understanding.
Yeah, I tell people 3 now. Yeah, I tell them 3 now.
Well, I was going to say you look great for 80.
I appreciate it. I look even better once you catch me on the day where I got some little dye on. I look even better.
Dude, I was looking at your website, Henry. I mean, Lord, that you're just like perfect there. So I'm like, wait a second, I got to figure out who does this stuff. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna have to send you his website, Andy. I mean, unbelievable.
You got to put some work in, that's for sure.
I mean, he's just dapper.
Yeah, I started very young. I come from several generations of pastors and stuff. So, I started really early as a kid, around 9 years old. I was already up doing public speaking, motivational speaking through my teenage years, traveling the country, doing revivals, camp meetings, things of that nature. And so, yeah, it's been a pretty long journey. And started in ministry very, very early. And like I said, this past Sunday, we celebrated 29 years of pastoral ministry. So it's actually about 35 years of ministry itself, but 29 of pastoral ministry.
That's incredible.
That's amazing. I'm not even 29 years old, so I take my hat off to you.
Yeah, it's weird when you see young pastors come up to you and say, I've been watching you since I was a little boy. I'm like, oh God, now you made it to that stage where people have been watching you since they were a little kid. Now they're growing up doing it. So it's amazing. I've been blessed. There's no other explanation for it. I'm very, very clear that I'm favored, that God has given me a blessed life, and I live that life to empower people. I do it, of course, through our ministry. I do it through my writings. I do it through my leadership conferences that we host around the country. So I have no major complaints at all.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So what got you when you were basically already speaking as you grew up into the industry?
Yeah.
So what kind of got? When did you really start it? Did you ever work or do anything else, or is it just really?
I worked. I worked for my grandfather's church when I went to college and the seminary. So it was never really in a secular industry. I was always within the confinements of the religious sector, working. And then, of course, I was an itinerant preacher from a teenager, about 17 years old. So that's how I made a living growing up as a teenager through my 20s.
And what parts of the church? I hear so many individuals that had this blessing that in the church. Like, what parts did you kind of grow into? You were just doing different things behind the scenes, and
I
then gradually started coming out on the stage, or
I, I started out with the mop and the broom.
you had to learn everything.
Yeah, yeah. So, it was in that kind of generation. You didn't just get the microphone and you didn't just get on the camera. I was cleaning the restrooms at the church, vacuuming the church, whatever. I was coming up through the ranks, and which was necessary. I think it builds character in you. It
Right.
teaches you that your focus for doing what you're doing is really God. It's not you. It's not for you to be in the limelight or garner some degree of popularity and stuff. At the end of the day, it's all about God. It's all about His people, and it's all about showing people God. So yeah, man, I did everything. I can play the piano, the organ. I was a musician from my father, my grandfather. So when I wasn't preaching or speaking, I was over there on the organ or keyboard. So I know how to
Wow.
do everything from opening up the church, unlocking it, to preaching, to playing, locking up the church, and going home. So I do everything.
I think it's a great lesson in humility.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely.
That was my first job, my first official job. I worked at a local supermarket around here, and I applied for and was accepted in the maintenance department. And so I'm thinking, here I'm going to be going around fixing stuff, and
Very.
and nope, I was cleaning toilets and taking out
Yes.
trash.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know it. That's the
Well,
route I
I guess,
went.
we all have that. My brother had a health club business, and so that's what my job was, right? To clean up and everything in the morning time, and wash down the bathrooms, wipe down the machines. My father was not a pastor, but he was the archdiocese. So he was
Okay.
always doing something with the archdiocese in New Orleans. And so I'd go with him on weekdays, weekends, and things of that nature. Pick up chairs or pick up things that the archdiocese bring to the
Yeah.
church. He was actually on that, so it kind of gave me this is like your similar stories. Is I
Yep.
watched my father in that leadership role, and being a young, everybody knew my dad. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
you're Paul's son. You're
Yeah.
Paul's a hard butt. But it just gave me that sense of leadership, and that my
Yeah.
dad's a leader, and I'm following in his footsteps, and
Yeah.
I'm doing things for the church and the I mean, just setting up the donuts or whatever it may be that
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah.
He was just really a good servant. My dad was a servant. He didn't make
Yeah.
any money from it, but he
Yeah.
just served our church, our schools, and just watching that built I feel that made an impact in my life in building character and
Absolutely.
things of that nature too. So it really very similar, but I didn't go into the pasture for that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think I should have.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, so what happened with you? What age was it that you really kind of started your own, I guess, path, or what went on? What age was it that you started really realizing this is your career, this is your, or was it at an early age?
It was kind of early, it was kind of, I had this unexplainable clarity. Um, I was young, maybe 17, 18 years old, 17 or so, coming out of high school. And I kind of just had this innate sense um, of what I was supposed to be doing and what routes I needed to take to do that in terms of education and being properly trained and developing the gifting that God had given me. So I knew very early that was my path, and I wanted to stray from it. I said, you know what, I would be an amazing actor. I should be on TV. I should be standing in front of people. I just didn't know it would be the same standing in front of people, but in a different kind of genre. So yeah, I knew very early. Nothing else was in my mind but this. So I knew it was a true calling um, from God, and so I did everything within my power and with the guidance of my grandfather to make sure I had everything necessary to pursue that path.
So did y'all already have a church and congregation that you kind of just easily just followed behind him in his footsteps?
Yeah, I did when he passed away. But before then, he was transitioning me into the church, which at one point I was doing everything. He may preach once a month. I had all of the duties the rest of the month,
Gotcha.
which people don't understand. They think it's just preaching on Sunday, but that means after Sunday is over, you have a full schedule of counseling on Mondays and Wednesdays, and membership issues and all the stuff that goes on behind the scene that people don't have an idea of. So it was a heavy load early, but I now understand it 30 years later,
Right.
why it happened so early in life for me.
So I mean, church is it's a business.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
for you to, I've had certain clients. I do real estate, and so I have certain clients that have come to me through the years. Actually, I helped a church recently sell
yeah,
a piece of land.
yeah.
It's in New Orleans. They moved away from after Hurricane Katrina,
Hmm.
and so they had some issues with this land that some people wanted to buy. We had liens against it and everything else. And the more I understood that, church
Yeah,
is a business. You
absolutely.
have real estate, you have insurance, you have all the same things that every other business has. And I'm sure you have a staff that, certain people are, in your organization. So
Yes.
passing down that leadership and teamwork philosophy. So everything really revolves around, everything's a business. And just like with y'all's organization, for you to really take care of as many people as you take care of
Yeah.
are members and coming into your organization. And I'm sure y'all do. I know that y'all do different functions. I believe that basically helping your congregation in different areas. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, for my staff, I mean, we have full-time employees. We have full-time accounting, tax compliance personnel,
Right.
human resource director, grief
Wow.
counselor, um, staff coordinator, secretary. So yeah, it's a business, and it's necessary. When you have, it was easy when you had, 20 people in the congregation. You could
Right.
kind of, but you go up to 50, 100, 300, and 500, and 1,000. So it becomes, it's necessary. So we've staffed our organization to be able to handle, at least the best of our ability, the number of complex issues that people have. The phone starts ringing right after church on Sundays. The appointments start coming in for the following week or so.
And when you say appointments, so the appointments y'all have different groups that get together for certain things. Is that
Well, for a lot of it's counseling. Like, we provide
okay?
marriage counseling. We have counseling for addictions, drug addictions, alcohol abuse. Just a plethora of whatever outside of their quote unquote spiritual Sunday needs entails. So we have in place systems to deal with the whole man, the whole individual's life. And I was very intentional about doing that. I felt like when you come to the house of God, there's answers for every part of your life, and so we wanted to make sure we could facilitate those needs for everybody.
So you are doing your, which I knew you were,
Yeah,
just the basic conversation we had in the
yeah,
past, but you understand the power of community and how
ab-
important it is that people connect and come in because you've already built that foundation, that they are
yeah,
comfortable coming in. They know that they're coming into strength. They're coming into a powerful leader like yourself, and then also you're building leaders around you, and they're getting certain areas where we all have weaknesses and we just
yeah,
don't know who to go to. So
yes,
you're giving them that foundation, plus you're giving them the other additional resources
yeah, yeah.
to help them through.
Well, and here's the premise for that. You can't just pray away everything. Um,
Correct.
and if you're going through a struggle or challenge, people just pray about it. Just pray about it. Well,
Right.
yeah, I get the sentiment of that, but the reality of the matter is, I tell people you need prayer and a therapist. You need you need you need prayer, guidance, and you may need a counselor. And I think that society has made it a taboo thing where people are ashamed or afraid to get help or counseling. People who are specialized in those areas to really help you and bring resolve to some of those areas in your life. I mean, I have you in church with me for an hour or so on a Sunday. That's not going to cover necessarily all of the challenges that you're going through on a weekly basis. Though your spirit may have been fed, you've gotten the word of God, you've developed a heightened level of faith based on what I've preached that Sunday. But
Right.
now I need some help because I'm still struggling with an abandonment issue from my mother. Right? I still
Brother,
need
you
help.
just hit the nail on the head. I'm telling you, we have to crush this mental health stigma and this
Yeah,
stigma of saying for a man it's not okay to reach out and
yeah,
get help. It
yeah,
is okay.
yeah.
100%. I'm sorry to steal your thunder, man.
No, no, that's okay. Yeah,
You,
and
you just
so
got fired up.
I
and
did.
that's kind of my proactive plan, you know. So when I think about church structure and church building, I never look at it from the pulpit out there. I look at it as if I wasn't a pastor or preacher. If I was walking into a church, what kind of church would I want to be a part of? What kind of needs would they have to be meeting or fulfilling for me to be a part of that community? And so that's what we do. We have all kind of counseling for all kind of, and believe me, you hear a lot of stuff. But I wanted to create a safe environment where people can be comfortable, transparent enough, because you can't have transformation without having a transparent environment to do so in. People want you to come to church, but pretty much they want you to be perfect. I just want to be able to dust you off a little bit and you're good. Nobody wants to
Right.
go
Right.
through the process of rehauling and re-establishing people's worth and value and their vantage point and their perspective about life, and that's what I'm all about. I need the same God you need, so you don't come to our church and it's like he's this big guy and he's above life. I'm not above life. I hurt, I bleed, I get confused, I've had issues, I've had struggles, but we all need the same God. And so in
Right.
my presentation of God, I give you God and I give you counselors, I give you help, I give you long-term plans to get to the point in your life where you are functioning at the level that you should be.
Can you say that part again about I don't need you to be perfect?
Yeah, I don't. Um,
That's so deep, man. I feel like I'm in church right now.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to make it
No, no,
churchy.
no,
I'm
no.
trying to,
No. I'm,
yeah,
I'm telling you, that's deep, bro.
yeah,
That hit me, man. Because that's been my hang up
yeah,
my whole life.
yeah,
It's the the ones that sit in the front pew
yeah,
and they pretend like they're holier than thou and they're the biggest sinners out there.
yeah. Or and here's my thing about that. Even if they're no longer those sinners anymore, you used to be,
Right.
and you know where I am. So don't get to the place where you are and discount redemption for me, or discount the possibility of me being. It's going to take some time. It took time for you. Um,
Long
so I
time.
think once we get that in our mind, God's not looking for perfect people. Think about it. The Bible says this, and I guess I could bring a little Bible in it, that the well don't need a physician, it's the sick. I've never gone to my doctor, made an appointment just to say, hey, I just wanted to check in with you, let you know how well I'm doing. I've only ever gone to the doctor when I was sick, uncomfortable, experiencing discomfort or pain. And that's what the church is supposed to be about. I don't, when you come to that door, I'm not expecting you to be perfect and shiny and refined. The reason that you're here is because you've come to a point of awareness or acknowledgement that, hey, I could be better. You know, I know this is not right about me, or I know better than this, but I need that kind of support, spiritual support and guidance to get me back into alignment. And so when I deal with people in church, I'm never preaching down to anybody. What's wrong with you? You should know better than this. No, 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 no. It's by grace. All of us are saved. If it wasn't for God, who knows where I would be, right? So I have that compassion for people. So when they come there, it's not about perfection. It's about processing. And what I mean by that is 6 months from now, you should look back and say, I'm better than I was 6 months ago. I'm not perfect yet, but I can see some tangible, measurable indicator that I'm getting better. I'm feeling better about who I am. And so that's what my ministry is all about.
No, brother. This is just what you're doing is impacting lives, and I think that's why you and I are so, over the last short period of time we've been knowing each other, why we're connected,
Mm-hmm.
because your beliefs are very similar to mine. That I am not perfect, and
Yeah.
I'm willing to tell people that I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
My ego, I don't have this ego in my world, my life, that I'm not. I'm nowhere near where God wants me to be. I know God's in my belly right now, and He's
Yeah.
pushing me to do more
Yeah.
because people need more, and some
Yeah.
people are just not tough enough
Yeah.
to get out of their own way. So sometimes we have to look at that. We are just that speaker on His behalf to
That's
pull
it.
people and tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear.
Exactly.
And what my surroundings, I know most of my life has been in business because it's all about money.
Yeah.
I hate it, but we're surrounded by every single thing we do in today's world is revolving around the money that
Yeah.
basically is keeping all of us somewhat back from
Yeah.
enjoying really what God has on this earth. Um, and I find myself in that same place, is just trying to figure out how to just pull more people in
Mm-hmm.
to a community where, like you're saying, it's a safe place to talk.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
safe place where we can just say, let it go. And whether even if you're successful people, whether it's financially, whatever, they're sometimes more miserable than the person who's broke.
Yeah.
And some people don't understand that struggle that we all go through at whatever level.
Yeah.
That it gets even worse sometimes when you're more out there. Then you have more. You're a bigger target, right? So now you're a bigger
Yeah.
target because
Yeah.
you're telling people what you're all about and what you're doing and everything else. Well, all of a sudden it opens up a whole bunch of other can of worms
Yeah.
that you're just another target. So it doesn't get easier when you get bigger, and it gets harder. But then
Yeah.
now you have a lot of people pulling at you,
Yeah.
whether it's for financial or spiritual or time or and so you have a lot of energy. So when you look at your congregation, I mean, what are some of the areas that you're seeing besides the mental health, which is more? So I lost my brother this past year.
Mm.
He was 61 years old, and he's been going through a lot of depression, alcoholism.
Yeah.
Just his life just went down,
Yeah.
and he passed away this year. And it's like at that point, I just felt like it was probably best
Yeah.
for him, because he was just mentally just struggling and just depressed. And he had cirrhosis of the liver since 2015, but never told anyone. But he kept on drinking, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like those things are coming to me this year with some individuals who are more into the mental health. But what you're seeing from your congregation, what are some of the things that you're finding that people are just really struggling with? Is it the mental health? Is it the addictions? Is it focus on what they're here for?
I would say if you name it, it's in there. Just yesterday, I was celebrating my 29 years of ministry, and we had a segment of the service where people had 2 or 3 minutes to give expressions about how the ministry has been a blessing or helped them. So I had this guy and his family, and he started talking about how much he loved the church and how much he respected me. He said, and I'm going to tell y'all something that y'all don't know, and that I've never heard this pastor say to anybody. He said, I've been struggling with alcohol addiction for the last year and a half. He said, I've been having meetings with the pastor and counseling with him. I've never heard it come out of that office. He said, and he's let me work. I put him to work. I put him on the security team at church. I said, I told him, hey, start mentoring him, preparing him to work, because I saw his worth. I saw his potential and his value. And he
Right.
said, the reason I started really focusing and disciplining myself to rid myself of this addiction, because you believed in me so much.
Right. Right. Right.
You looked at me in the state that I was in. You didn't embarrass me. You didn't discard me. You didn't think I was worthless. You gave me a place to work. You gave me an opportunity. And based on that, I wanted to be better. So he
Right.
gets up and testifies and said his whole family, his daughter who was through with church, said, I'm never going back to church again. He said, you got to come to this church. Just come one Sunday. She came one Sunday, joined the next Sunday. She got baptized. This past Sunday on my anniversary, her children got baptized. So the man started with the alcohol addiction, and God brought his entire family to church, and now they're baptized and a part of the ministry because
Right.
of non-judgmental place. You know, it's hard to preach about God and you don't expect people to need him. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm telling you about a God who can save you and heal you and change your life, but now I got a problem with the changes that you need to have change. Um,
Right.
so that's not how it works. So, those testimonies are, a testament that we all are imperfect individuals who are serving a God who is ready to help, ready to heal, ready to transform you.
Hmm. And it's so much what you just said. It's you believed in, and
Yeah.
if the person, when you believe in someone and you give them a chance, and you're giving them that step, that hand out, right? We always see a picture of someone's hand, another hand,
Hmm.
right? But sometimes we don't really understand the power of that. Just that, yeah, I'm kind of like yourself. I'm working with a lot of people on a daily basis. I'm talking
Yeah.
to them, and they're telling me, and I have some people are telling me from a year ago that, Renee, you told me something about how to clean up my credit, and I did it. I keep on listening to you, and I'm starting to understand what you were telling me about how to start a business and things of that nature, right? And it really is, it's impacting when you can do that for someone, but at the same time, I know I have a lot of respect for people like yourself, Howard, and certain individuals in my life because I'm learning and I'm disciplined to where it's in knowing that I just really just love serving and giving
Yeah.
help to people, and it makes you feel good when you can do that. But at the same time, I think a lot of people just don't see the big picture of how that can really change a person's life. So when you
Yeah.
get to a point, I see a lot of companies sometimes that they have a lot of employees, and
Hmm.
the employees are suffering, but your business is going great.
Yeah.
But they're forgetting that the people who are working for you every single day, they have problems and challenges. And I'm seeing corporate companies or bigger companies not really understanding that, take care of your people that are working for you.
Yeah.
It's like what you're doing with your church.
Yeah.
Your whole focus is when you bring them in, you want to make sure that, hey, how can I help you in some way, shape, or form to give you what you need to where
Yeah.
you can progressively small steps.
Yeah.
Am I seeing? Are you seeing that in the world today? Are you seeing that some are getting too big and they're forgetting how they got there? Or are you seeing some individuals who are just out there that are here, but they're wanting people like yourself and myself and others to just open up and say, hey, is it okay that I can ask?
Henry, before you jump
Yeah.
into there, can I interject real quick?
Yes, sir.
And Renee, I thank you, by the way. And Renee, I believe that what you just mentioned is the biggest difference between leadership and management.
Hmm.
Your leaders, they don't have to be at the top of the food chain to be a leader, right? It's
Right, right,
usually naturally in them. But your leaders are genuinely going to care about their people, as opposed to management, which is worried about the bottom line.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Well, and here's what I say. You hear people say all the time, it's lonely at the top. And when you tell me that, instantly I know how grossly you've mismanaged what's been put in your hand.
Correct.
It's not lonely at the top for me because I'm at the top, but I
Right.
brought other people to the top with me.
Correct. Correct.
Right.
Mm,
So I'm creating this culture and this climate where everybody wins. I
mm-hmm.
don't win off the back of you. I don't win at the expense of you losing or staying stagnated or staying in a place of mediocrity in life. My job is to bring as many people up as I possibly can. Now, you, as a leader, you have to be very egoless to do those things. You're living in a society now where people are very ego driven and they want to be the only ones to make it and have certain things. But I think when you rid yourself of the ego and understand that it's a bigger testament to your leadership, when you don't point and say how many followers you have, but you can point and say how many leaders you have with you. How many people have actually started thriving? How many people are actually financially successful, or they are able to be independent from the world system? I don't have to exchange my time for money anymore, right? I can
Right.
sit down and create and generate, and I determine the influx or the flow of finances that come through my household or my business or my mentorship programs and stuff. And so these are the kind of things that I'm impressing into people. I think when you develop a mindset that as a leader, I want to produce leaders and not
Right.
at all be intimidated. I tell people this all the time. If you're the smartest person in your circle, you need a different circle now.
Correct. Correct.
And I tell people all the time, I don't want everybody thinking like me. That's an outdated, antiquated model that
Right.
keeps you in a system of redundancy and probably lackluster results. I don't want everybody thinking like me. That's robotic systems. I need somebody that thinks differently than I think without me considering them. Oh, you're not on the team. You're not on the same page. No, sometimes the reason you're going in circles could be your circle.
Mm.
Your
That's
circle could be the reason that you're going in circles right now.
so
Nobody's,
profound.
yeah.
And what you just mentioned are characteristics of a dictatorial individual.
Hmm.
So I agree with you. I spent 32 years in the military, and
Mm.
I was very successful. And it wasn't because of me. It was because of the people I surrounded myself with. It was the way I brought up. I got more pleasure out of seeing my troops succeed and do well than I
Yes.
did me.
Yeah. That's the heart of a leader. Yeah.
But I tell you what, if I was in New Orleans, I would be going to your church.
Oh man, I'm honored. I appreciate that.
No,
Now,
it's
honestly, that's saying if you knew me,
Yeah.
that's probably one of the best compliments I can give you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
let me ask you. So when it comes down to some of the different programs you're finding, like right now for individuals who, so when I started What's Your Passion, I started it during COVID mainly because I have a passion to serve. I have a passion to help individuals. And when I look at coaching, or I look at different things that I've gone through my own personal life, um, I just find that so many people are lost. And many people are wanting more to do in their life. They're kind of like trying to figure out what they want to do or how to get it out. And
Yeah.
I find talent. Like if you walk in New Orleans, just on the street, you see all this talent, right? But sometimes it's kind of like you got to pull somebody up and say, "Hey, I see something in you, and I just need to help you through some of the processes." Just like myself, I'm going through that process of learning this whole new world. So I was always good at the basics of, selling or managing things of that nature, and built some good little companies. But at the same time, even myself is still going through that process with leaders in my organization to try to help them grow so the company can grow. And I tell them all that if the company can grow, then it helps me to help them grow, because
Yeah.
I can't grow until they grow, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at that, I guess the part that I'm getting to is that when the What's Your Passion community is all about bringing in individuals like yourself and other leaders, so we can develop more leaders around us and bring support to those individuals that are missing some of the different parts. Like I told Andy, Andy's very good at helping. Where he understands this podcast
Yeah.
studio process,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's not easy for somebody to do a podcast because they don't know how to press the buttons, how to upload it, how to edit. So he's
Yeah.
doing a service not only for myself, but so many others. And I'm sure that's what you're seeing in your organization. That you have people that are in your organization that does all the back end
Yes.
video, things of
Yeah.
that nature. So I guess where was I going with that is, from a perspective of like the education you're finding with some of your congregation, y'all going through some of the different financial aspects of helping people progress into their own business or getting at that dream job, or something like that. Are y'all doing those type of programs?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We do tons of them actually. I'm really big on economic empowerment for
Okay.
our people. Um, because one of the things I teach is that you'll never grow beyond your level of exposure, right? So I feel it my job to expose them. Um, and the landscape of New Orleans. There are areas in Little Woods where our church is. A lot of the community of Little Woods and East New Orleans area, sort of impoverished areas. And so the scope of their expectation, some of them are, hopefully I can get on at Walmart, or hopefully I can get on at McDonald's up the street. And so what I've intentionally done was develop partnerships with entrepreneurs, hotels downtown, developing partnerships with, so that they can see as something beyond this limited scope of what they define the extent of life to be.
Mm.
So our church hosts job fairs, um, maybe every 4 months or so. I'll have a job fair. I'll partner with some people, have them to come. But then I also offer training in terms of resume preparation, how to fill out, just the things that we take for granted. We just automatically think everybody knows how to fill out a job application. They do not.
Wow.
We think they know what documents are necessary. They do not. And so that taught me to develop this approach as if they don't know anything. And so we teach them from ground level how to open a bank account, which a lot of them didn't even really have, or they were sharing it with somebody, or their understanding of a bank account was a rush card, a green card,
Mm.
that they load money on and pay astronomical fees and stuff. So my whole philosophy has always been, if you build the community will build the church. It's not that you build the church and then you build a community. No, you let the community see the value of your ministry, what we're offering, what we're bringing to that community. And so that's what I'm all about. We teach financial literacy. I have some of the greatest financial literacy experts from around the country that I have access to or disposal at the time. I fly them in. Hey, would you come and spend 3 hours on a Saturday with our congregation? Teach them these principles. Teach them, and which is philosophically necessary, because they hear me all the time, and
Oh yeah.
then I only have a limited amount of time to talk in the context that I can talk in terms from the biblical platform, because that's what they're there for. So I
Right.
give them that biblical principle and basis. Then I bring somebody in from the secular sect and get them to infuse that knowledge into them. And man, it just makes a world of difference. So
Mm.
I've seen people go from minimum wage jobs to now executive salary packages, all because that's my heart and that's what I want to do.
I'm sure you teach on Rich Dad Poor Dad
Oh yeah,
concept.
yeah. Every the Solomon, the richest man in the Bible, just everything. And then a lot of my own principles from years of study and research from the Bible that I have a schematic thing that I teach about that as well.
Mm.
Breaking poverty mindsets. Um, so yeah, so we do a lot of that. A lot of that.
Do you have are you doing a young adult program yet? I'm
Yes,
sure,
yeah.
I'm sure you already have a young adults, and is that part of that young adults, or is it just for adults, or do you have different
Well,
programs?
no, yeah. So the way I have it set up is everything we do it on the beginner, intermediate, and sort of a professional level, right?
Gotcha,
So whatever the adults are getting, the teens are getting on that level, and the younger people are getting on their levels. Um,
gotcha, gotcha.
just like now, we have a mentoring program. As a matter of fact, one of the guys who got the contract to rebuild Six Flags in New Orleans is a member of our church.
Oh
So of
yeah,
course,
Troy Henry. I'm
I've
sorry,
always,
not Troy Henry. Is it no?
yeah, yeah,
Is it
I've
Troy Henry?
uh-huh.
Okay,
So
yeah,
I've
yeah. I just ran.
already
Yeah,
secured jobs. Hey, listen, we need at least 40 of them set aside already,
right,
so that the people in this church who are faithful and and they're educated. It's not that they don't have the jobs or the opportunities because they're not educated. They are. It's
right.
just again getting the exposure. It's about who knows you, and making those connections with people. So yeah, so
Right.
I'm excited about it.
No, that's exciting. 'Cause that's exactly some of the things that I'm working on right now. Is just some of these young adults, but also I work with a lot of boat companies. The
Yeah,
offshore rigs,
yeah,
and as I'm driving, sometimes these individuals listen to my conversations, and it's amazing how some of them are doing very well. They make very good income. They're away from their families a long period of time, but they're wanting to do something, but nobody ever told them that don't wait to start a business, start it now, because
yeah,
you're being taxed. And when you're making a hundred and something $1,000, you're being taxed. And so
yeah.
how would you like to get some of that money back? So what do you
Right,
mean? And
right.
these are adults, 37 years old, 40 years old, that nobody's ever told them. And I think the
Have a not.
corporate companies, it's like they're doing their employees a disjustice. So let's show them how to get some of their money back that the government's taken out.
Yeah,
Show them that they can have a side little business and learning something that's going to give them more excitement to come work for you, because you're not only having them just do their job, you were showing them that, hey, this is another option to where
yeah,
you're not just on one income, because you and I both know sometimes in one income these days is just not enough.
yeah, yeah,
You got to kind of have that other little side
yeah. Gotta have more.
hustle, that side gig or something.
Yeah,
But that side gig gives you that excitement. I find the excitement of learning something, and you're doing it for yourself on your own. But at the same time, you have more. You have a more of a reason to really give your employer a better service, because now you're starting to understand that, hey, I got to treat my employer and give him everything, because I'm expecting people over here to give me everything, right?
absolutely.
So
Yeah,
how can I treat my employer bad and then don't expect my people who work for me to treat me bad, right?
yeah.
So it's a lot of good things. So so what are some of the things right now that's very important for you? What is your I'm seeing again tremendous amount of different books and ebooks, things you're coming out with. I know you're doing speeches
Yeah,
for our congregation. So you do a
yeah,
lot of traveling through the weeks, or
yeah,
like
yeah,
what's a common schedule for you? I mean, it's every Sunday, but
yeah.
then during the week you go. So kind of give me an idea.
Yeah, it just depends now. We have so I have an additional schedule. I have a virtual schedule as well now. So since COVID, virtual has become popular. So
Yeah.
I do my Sunday services in the city. Usually I'm traveling Wednesday through Friday or Saturday, just depends on the week. Or I'm recording virtual services to send somebody may have booked me for a revival in Washington, D.C., but it's
Right.
virtual. So, I'm recording here at our church and then we send it to them. Times are changing. So
I
yeah,
need to do, I need to do a field trip. Okay, I need to just come with you for one day and just
yeah, yeah,
just see,
and
because I haven't had the pleasure of
yeah,
going there yet, but I am going to be coming there.
yeah, and then there's counseling schedule, like I talked about. Then there's also my visitation schedule, people who are sick or in hospitals, and are people who want to take communion, and I still take joy in doing those things. I have ministers who I've assigned to those tasks, part of their main job, but I still, from time to time, I make sure I go and try to show my face and do those things as well.
So I'm sure you have an assistant that kind of helps
Oh
you
yeah,
just.
yeah, yeah. We have a ministerial staff of people who handle debts, sicknesses, that kind of thing. But when my schedule allows, certainly I try to jump in as much as I can to compensate for if I'm gone or if I'm out of town and things like that.
Wow.
Henry, I have a question for you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I hope this doesn't come out insulting because I don't mean it to be, but with all the counseling, what type of degree do you have?
I have a PhD in divinity. I have two masters in pastoral studies and counseling.
So you're old enough, you both old enough to get this reference. Doctor, doctor, doctor,
Yeah.
doctor, and doctor. So I need to call you doctor. My apologies, sir. I
You
need to
know,
give you the
I,
due
I
credit you deserve.
people ask me all the time. They say, "What should we call you?" I say, "Henry is fine. It's been on my birth certificate for over 50 years." So
The reason I ask is because my background is healthcare. and
Okay.
a lot of mental health counseling is involved in that. And I'm a big, humongous proponent in peer-to-peer counseling. So I appreciate, obviously your calling is your calling, but I appreciate the counseling, the importance that you place on the counseling, because I feel like I'm getting some weird feedback here. You guys hearing that, or is it just me?
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, we'll see if we can clean that up in post. But well, there goes that thought. Never mind.
So Henry, I do again. I appreciate your time today. Renee Manford, what's your passion? We lost a disconnection with Henry Bolden, but we're looking forward. I'm going to have him on again on another part of the show. So I do appreciate you joining us today. I know today was really a whole bunch of impactful information that was shared between what really Henry's doing with his organization. Go to henrybolden.com and you can learn more about all of his different parts of the ministry, his books and things of that nature. And I do appreciate it again. Renee Manford, what's your passion? Look forward to the next episode. Bye-bye. Yeah, we have the